Last week, we gave you the first step towards finding your purpose, examining your experiences. Today, we'll give you the second step, evaluating your values. On the evening of October 14th, 1912, then President Teddy Roosevelt folded his 50-page speech manuscript and put it in his breast pocket. He was headed to an auditorium nearby to deliver a speech. As he stood to wave at the crowd who was waiting anxiously to see him and hear him, a man shot him with a .38 revolver point blank in the chest. Luckily for President Roosevelt, the gun was aimed towards the side of his jacket where his thick speech was. That thick wad of paper slowed the bullet so much that it was unable to enter his lung, and he went on to give his speech anyway. One seemingly insignificant decision, the decision about which jacket pocket to put my speech in, ultimately saved the president's life. We make hundreds of choices each and every day. We decide how we'll spend our time, who we're going to hang out with, what we're going to wear, where are we going to go? It may seem mundane, but the truth is that our decisions ultimately decide our direction. Big or small, our decisions intertwine together to form this rich tapestry that we call our lives. Even if we don't realize it, the small decisions we make in our present can have huge repercussions on our future. Winston Churchill said this: "Be patient and gather all the possible elements before making a decision, but always make a decision." Every day, we have dozens of opportunities to change our lives. Some decisions will make a bigger impact than others, but all the decisions we make will impact our lives in some way. This is why it's so important for us not to live our lives on autopilot. Instead, we need to take control of our lives each and every day. And the best way to make decisions is through the lens of our values. Values are a person's principles or standards of behavior. Our values are the judgment of what's important in our lives. Let's look at Hebrews chapter 11, verses 24 through 26 in the NIV. By faith, Moses, when he had grown up, refused to be known as the son of Pharaoh's daughter. He chose to be mistreated along with the people of God rather than to enjoy the fleeting pleasures of sin. He regarded disgrace for the sake of Christ as of greater value than the treasures of Egypt, because he was looking ahead to his reward. This passage is part of the Faith Hall of Fame that's found in the book of Hebrews. And the writer of Hebrews is praising the ancient heroes for the impact that their faith made on the world. But notice when discussing Moses, the writer of Hebrews doesn't talk about his skill or his talents or his ability. Rather, he's applauded for his core values. Moses was an Israelite baby who was adopted into an Egyptian family. And not just any Egyptian family, the royal Egyptian family. That means Moses could have lived a cushy life for the rest of his life, but instead he chose the kingdom of God over the kingdom of Egypt. Moses filtered his life through the lens of his core values. He treasured worship more than wealth. He opted for short-term pain in exchange for long-term gain. Moses' core values guided him to make a maximum impact. And because of this, he led the captive Israelites out of bondage in Egypt. He wrote the first 5 books of the Bible, and he set the stage for Christ to come and set us all free. Your daily decisions determine your future destination. You're constantly making decisions, both big and small, that ultimately build your life. When confronted with a choice, you run it through a filter in your mind. And it really only takes a few moments, but that mental filtration system, that's called your core values. Imagine this scenario with me. Your best friend is going through a bad breakup and could really use your support. Meanwhile, you have an important project at work and the deadline is due today. What do you do first? Do you help your friend or do you work on your project? Most of you quickly got a gut feeling. That gut feeling is your core values kind of processing this mental dilemma that you have. Maybe you prioritize your work performance, so you'd find a way to text your friend while you're still kind of working on your project. Or maybe relationships are a core value of yours, and so you'll drop everything to go be by your friend's side. Your daily decisions reveal your core values. Your core values are deeply held principles that guide your life. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. valued equality, and so that led him to change the entire world with a megaphone and a message. Steve Jobs valued innovation. That led him to change the entire cellular phone market by introducing a touchscreen phone. In other words, your core values guide your life. So here's what I want you to think about. What matters most in your life? What do you value? Is it community, honesty, creativity, integrity, positivity, compassion, dependability? I hope something immediately comes to mind. I want you to take a few moments and write it out. Write out 10 to 15 things that you value deeply. Some examples could be punctuality, helping others, sports, family, relationships, problem solving. Write out 10 to 15 of those things. After you've written them out, see if there's a theme that kind of develops. When I did this exercise, I realized that community is very important to me. Take that list and narrow it down to your top 3 or 4 most important things to you. And then you'll have your core values written down. If you want to find your purpose, you have to find out what matters to you, what's important to you. Evaluating your core values will bring you one step closer to finding your purpose. And be sure to join us next week as we continue our Bible study on finding your purpose. Next week in step 3, we'll look at unwrapping our spiritual gifts. Can't wait to see you then.